Alright, hello, welcome back. I hope you liked my first video on this channel. You better have subscribed and liked and turned on the bell, all of those fun things. I'm not actually sure what order you'll choose to watch these in, so this might not be the second video. Um, but if it is, then that lines up very well if you choose to watch these in chronological order. Um, Basically, I just kind of want to yap about different things right now. And this is a Monday, and you're at work, and mom couldn't pick up the phone. So this is what we're doing instead. Um, but I mostly just wanted to talk about my English homework because I brought up some good points in that I haven't really been able to talk to you about yet. And a lot of it was about like identities and specifically like American identity and being like a woman and all of that. I think that it's very funny how I started this semester being like, oh, I'm not going to be too political in my English homework because I don't know my teacher's perspectives on anything. And then it quickly devolved into me like always somehow bringing it back to like the government or politics, and because pretty much like everything does, and it's very difficult to keep things like in the middle, especially when it comes to like English homework because it's so personal, and just a lot of the different things that I like wanted to write about um, were always like extremely uh, political because they're like things I'm passionate about. Um, but yeah, since this is the second video I'm recording, I've learned a little bit more about how to like use these mics. Hopefully they sound a little bit better. I think I need to stop like leaning so close to it because I definitely did that a few times in the last recording it, and I'm not gonna re-record it, but I do kind of feel bad because the audio is a little bit all over the place. Um, so you're just gonna have to deal with that. But yeah, pretty much today we're just gonna be talking about like some of the writing I did. I screenshotted and uploaded one of it on Snapchat, but I did like want to hear like your specific views on what I wrote. Not that it was just like anything new, but I just think that it's a very like interesting topic in general. Basically, we were talking a lot about like identities, I guess, in this unit, and it was all about like we had to list out a bunch of different identities, like formal and informal, that we were either born with or like we found later in life. And so this included like, oh, Caucasian, like cisgendered, asexual, like all of those. And then also like acrobatic or acrobat and photographer and artist. Um, so it was like interesting. And then we had to choose our like biggest three that we think like affects our lives the most and go over that and answer some questions. And that was kind of difficult because I was like, should I go with the things I was born with? Because obviously those like affect my life the most, or like the things that affect my career. So I chose photographer, woman, and environmentalist because I think those are things that like have just been like ingrained in me for a while. Um, and then yeah, the last question was like, uh, what like which one of these are you like the closest to in real life, or like what identities out of all of them do you most identify with? And I thought that was like kind of funny because like obviously I identify with all of them, but I was like, I feel like I have to say the woman because like who would I be if I didn't, you know? So I kind of wanted to like read what I wrote for that because I always start these things by being like, oh, I won't go off too much, and then I actually start writing it, and I kind of just like pop off. Specifically, like because I'm working on my Pretty Bird project as well right now in sequencing, and I just think these like kind of related to each other. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. So first, this is my reply to the which one do you identify with most? Um, I will always identify with being a woman first and foremost. It is the one identity that affects every moment of my life. On a deeper level, though, I truly love every characteristic and positive attribute that can only be experienced growing up as a girl. There's so many things that men are missing out on, such as slumber parties, doing each other's makeup, gossiping about crushes, instantly becoming friends with someone we met in the bathroom, complimenting someone on their dress and her getting excited that it has pockets, and sharing closets with sisters or best friends. The world is so committed to making women feel lesser than they should be feel lesser when they should be jealous because we have better relationships, homes, and overall happiness. This is especially obvious with the current male loneliness epidemic, which is the fault of men who cannot form actual deep friendships where they talk about their feelings. A man's personal hell would be a world without women because they do not go out to parties or bars to only hang out with their friends. They do not get emotional support from their friends, and they would never have a decorated or clean home if they only lived with their friends. Women, on the other hand, would be perfectly fine for the most part, maybe a little lonely sometimes, but nothing a girl's night cannot fix. Now, I just feel so strongly about this because I've seen so many videos talking about like the male loneliness epidemic and all of this stuff. And honestly, I just don't really see the point, you know? Because like I guess it's just such like a male perspective thing to be like I'm lonely and that's a woman's fault. Whereas like if I was lonely, like I like on a depression level and I thought like I have no one to go to talk about my feelings or when I'm upset and like I have no one to hang out with or like to bond with on a deeper level because I do think these men have people to hang out with. Um but like what they're lacking is like female friendship in their life. Um which like a lot of women would gladly give them, but then they immediately um, want to like hook up with her. So that's also funny because it's like we don't really get that from relationships either. Most of the time, we get that from our female friendships. Um, because yeah, like as much as I like men, I would almost never be like, oh, I'm upset. I'm gonna call one of my male friends or like yeah, like I want a night with only them. I would never be like I want a girls' night and like go out with a bunch of guys. And I say that as someone who like I think has a lot more male friends than a lot of my other friends. Um, but like on those deeper subjects, like I don't really talk about those with my male friends. Um, because like I don't know. It's just why would I when I have like Ava and you and so many other people? And I think like the most I've talked to like my guy friends is like Tanner and Noah, and even then it's not a situation where I would talk to them for hours. Um, I think like for the most part I would kind of call them to feel better, um, which is good too. And like I do trust them, but yeah, I also think like not to be like stuck up, but I think females just add so much more to guys' life, and I think I can definitely see that in my friendship with a lot of my guy friends. I mean, especially just like the ones I've had for a while, I can see like the positive effects I've made in their lives, and I I mean, I like Noah and Tanner have given like um so many like positive attributes in my life. So I'm not saying like they're unhelpful, but specifically like my friends in school, like um Max and like Achille and Owen and like all of those guys. Um there's just like situations where like they'll ask me like when the homework's due and like what how I submitted it and how like I do certain things, or like, oh, what do we have to do for this assignment again, or like, hey, how many pixels did you say this needs to be? And they're like easy things that you could just look up. Or like Brendan asking like me to help him sign up for classes, and they're things that like I just already did, or I emailed the teacher, or I looked up on the syllabus, and it's like they just know that like a woman probably already knows, so I'm just gonna ask them. And on one hand, it's like, well, I'm your friend, so I'm gonna help you. Um, Obviously, like I'm never gonna be like, I know the answer to that, and like fuck you, I'm not gonna give you give you it. But like on the other hand, sometimes I do kind of want to do that, because I know if I asked, if like when I'm having an issue, I can't really text any of them to be like, hey, do you know what so and so said about this project? Because they never know the answer. And so it would just be like so dumb for me to ask. Um, but then yeah, to go back to like part of my writing, like it's so funny how guys don't go out on the weekends to hang out with their friends, versus women who like, we go out mostly to hang out with our friends. Like, yeah, we go out to bars also to like talk to guys and like dance with them and like different stuff. But like the nights that I go and I don't really like get a guy's number or talk to a guy that much, I still have so much fun. Like even the nights where we literally just pregame, and then like like the nights I've gone out with Clara, um, and like I've pre-gamed with them, and then they go out to the bars afterwards, and I've gone home, and like that's a successful night to me. Whereas I don't think men would ever claim that's a good night. I mean, you can see that in like TV shows where it's like perpetuated too, like How I Met Your Mother, where they're all hanging out, but like the men like won't admit that like they're having fun just like with the friends, or they'll be like, oh, this night was such a dud because they like didn't get any women. And yeah, I would just never do that. I also think that it's like so obnoxious to be like, oh, oh wow, yeah, I've like last night was awful because I didn't talk to any guys, or like I didn't get any guys' number. If I said that to some of my girlfriends, I think I would like genuinely hurt their feelings, and like it would be the same if they said that to me, because that's just so obnoxious. Like, and yeah, genuinely, I don't think I would want to hang out with them again, because that would just be like totally putting men above like any of your friends, and being like, I would rather be here with them. Um, and I mean, some women do. I mean, we literally see that with Emily, but like, yeah, that's just like centering men in your lives. And I just think the majority of women don't do that. Whereas even though men want to be the center of our lives, I think they make us the center of their lives way more. Because they would never want to admit that they need us, but like they do, because they can't have fun on their own, and they can't like make homes on their own, and all of this stuff. I mean, you see that with like their decorating. Like you can just always tell when a man has like had a girlfriend, because yeah, we talk about like the girlfriend effect, because they get better haircuts and hygiene and clothes and decorating skills. And it's just like so annoying, but like funny, I guess, ironic, um that they think that they're like in control of the world, and yet they need women for every single aspect of their life. um but yeah, as I said, I really popped off with that because I was kind of annoyed. um I think that it's also just being like pushed by my project I'm doing for sequencing. And I was like explaining that in class today, because we were doing a little like halfway check-in before we go and take more photos for the final. And my teacher, whom I love and like who has like read my whole poem and all of that, but he was bringing up how like all of my photos are about uh the like negative points of like the poem, and like uh talking about like the objectification of women and like sexism and all of this stuff and like how depressing it is. And then he was like, "Oh, are you gonna have like any antithesis to this, like showing like the other side and showing like positive things or like showing like hope?" And um, he didn't exactly say it as a question, so he wasn't asking if I was planning to, but he was just saying like you could have like an antithesis, or he was like, "Oh, I'm excited to see what you do for that." And I kind of was like, I kind of stayed quiet because I was like, I'm not planning to, because um, first of all, like the poem doesn't end um extremely happy. I mean, it ends with her having like changed herself for men. Like she was saying um like she used to like to sing, but then men would like tell her to sing all the time, and where like she grew up with like magazine clippings and trying to be like the women in the magazines because that's what men liked, and then it gets to the end and they're still asking her to sing, but like she can't even do it anymore because like it brings her no joy because she only did it for like their, or she only does it now for their attention, and all of like the passion was sucked out of it. And I mean, maybe if we were like in a different setting in the world right now, in like the political climate, I would want to have something different. But ultimately, like, I don't know, like, I'm pissed off at the world right now. And I kind of want people, when they finish looking at this like collection, to be angry. And I want them to go and put that like passion towards something else, and or just like make them think about like everything that's going on right now, um, in general. And I don't really want to give them any hope then, because like I don't know, why would I want to show something that's not happening? And like I know that's depressing, but like it's just the truth. Like we're literally going backwards right now. So why would I want to be like, "Oh, here's the positive side of being a woman right now," because ultimately there's not. I mean, yes, there's parts of being a woman I love, but like in like the grand scheme of things right now, it kind of sucks. Um, so yeah, I was just like, okay. I mean, I appreciate his opinion, but I was like, I'm probably not going to do that. And if it gets brought up in the final, I'm going to say that. I was also asked like what type of direction I gave the models, and so far these photos were just a view. But I also was thinking about what I told Megan and Jen yesterday when I did this photo shoot, and I basically explained it as like the world is going to shit, and they're like we're trying to be controlled, but um, we're still seen as like these pretty objects that our only role is to like be beautiful, and kind of how to like we uh like combat that when we also want to be seen as beautiful, and we also can't just like sit around all the time and be depressed about the world. Like we still want to go out to parties and we still want to dress up and all of this, and that leads to photos where it's beautiful women dressed up um, to like the nines and like looking like they're gonna go out to party, or like out to be like a prostitute or like something, but also being like pissed off. Um, and it kind of like made me think about this quote from, well, I got it from TikTok, but it was ultimately from some like gay activists in the 90s. And I don't remember it specifically, so I'm kind of going to butcher it. But it basically was like, um, you're, it was like, we're gonna, like, I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like, we're gonna like bury our friends in the morning, protest in the afternoon, and party at nighttime. And it basically was about like how you should still like party and have fun even if like there's death and protests happening everywhere. um so yeah, that was kind of what influenced my reply to him in class. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is a very deep meaning I'm trying to show in class, and I'm gonna get. I need to work on not getting kind of annoyed if people miss that. Um, because yeah, I'm just trying to show like the objectification of women through the lens of exotic birds that are trying to be caged by men. Um, and yeah, like we haven't technically been let out of those cages yet. So, like, again, why would I show that? Um, but yeah, I'm also very like influenced by like 90s like street prostitutes, which is kind of the photos I took with Megan yesterday. Again, she was wearing like the pink tights, like my stripper boots, and she was like on the curb outside of a really sketchy like gas station, and which was very interesting to do because obviously the one downside if you want to have your model look like a prostitute outside of a sketchy convenience store is that she then has to be dressed up in slutty clothes outside of a sketchy convenience store, and there are sketchy men. And I was gonna feel so bad if like someone said something. Thankfully, nobody did. When we first started taking photos, some guy that was like around the corner like walked over and he had been smoking, and he kind of like looked at and looked at us and then like walked away, and I was like, oh, thank God, I really don't need you making any like comments right now. And then this other guy who like he didn't really seem sketchy. Like I think he was totally fine. He walked by and he made some joke where he was like, "Oh, we're doing a photo shoot. Can I get in?" And then I was like, "Are you wearing anything pink?" as a joke, and he was like, "Ah, shucks, no." And I was like, "Haha." So that was good. But yeah, I just think like when when I when I was the one that like told them to dress like that, I was gonna feel so much worse if like something was said to them. And like obviously there were just so many people that were just like looking at us in general, and I did feel bad about that. But yeah, they looked so good. I did have like someone else in class kind of be "Oh, if your poem is about like if you're trying to show that you're mad about the objectification of women, like why are the photos like leaning into that sort of?" And I don't really have a good response to that yet, other than just being like, I don't know, you don't get it, like you don't see my vision. Um, because yeah, I'm just like, you just need to read the poem, dude. Because the annoying part is we were supposed to have read this poem in front of the whole class, but that turned into one of our snow days. So then we ultimately just had to submit it to my teacher, and he never made us read it to the whole class. And yeah, on one hand, I would have been really like anxious to do that, but then now I want everyone to have read the poem because I was trying to explain it, and someone was like, "Oh, why do you choose to like make them wear pink tights?" And I was like, "Well, that's just a really big part of the poem." Um, and so yeah, I just think it would like hit so much harder. So now I'm trying to think of different ways that I could like put the poem in with the photos at the same time. Maybe doing something like having a video with like a voiceover, or cutting up the poem into different like stanzas and having that like either on the page or like surrounding the photos, maybe as like little captions to each photo. I think that could be cool. Um, I also just realized today, and I'm so annoyed because I'm like, does this mean I need to completely redo the poster? Uh, but I was like, it would have been so good of instead of my magazine saying Playboy, I put Pretty Bird there and have it like in the same font and the same like everything else, and have it like obviously be a play on Playboy magazine, but have it be like the title of my collection instead, and then that could be like the cover photo. And I was like, oh my god, that was so smart. And the frustrating thing is, I don't think I can change that now, because on Photoshop you have like all of these different edits that are all different layers, and then at the end to save the photo, you flatten the whole image. So now I can't go back and like change what the words say. Like I could put other words on top of that, but I can't erase those words. So I'm a little annoyed by that. We'll see if I want to redo that. I do think would be kind of good. Um, I've had a lot of people like not really react to like that photo that much, which is fine, I guess. I don't know, maybe I thought it was a lot cooler than other people think. Um, but like, yeah, I've shown it to a lot of my friends so far, and it's funny the ones who will like take my phone and read each like phrase and have like really make it hit, versus the people that I tried to hand them my phone and they like didn't take it and they just looked at it and then they were like, wow, that's really cool. And I was like, you definitely didn't like zoom in or read any of that. So like you just looked at the photo and that's not really, yeah, like I'm just like, no, I wanted you to read the like the words. Um and like yeah, in class like no one really mentioned it. Like I brought it up because I specifically made one of them about fashion so that it makes sense in one of the other photos why you're like in the closet. Which my teacher actually brought up a great point about the closet photos because it's such like a small room that he was like it kind of feels like the closet is a cage. Um, and I was like, oh my god, that works so well because one of my quotes is literally like women should care more about fashion than like national problems. And so like it's cool because it's like the tiny closet is like yeah the cage that women are put in. Um, but yeah, I don't know. This is I just want like people to kind of see it and be like, "Oh my god, that really hits." And yeah, not exactly sure if they all will, but hopefully. But I do think that that would be such a good like cover image if I can change the words. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I definitely will either have like a handout of the poem to have people read. It's such a long poem, which is the annoying thing. Like I can't just like be like, oh yeah, look at this real quick. It's kind of like a commitment. But it's such a good one. And yeah, I don't know. I want to include more like bird stuff in general. It was interesting taking photos of Jen, and I feel like this is gonna sound so backhanded to you and Megan, and I promise it's not. But Jen like was almost looking too pretty in all of her photos. And like I don't know how to explain that, but it's like the idea was like, oh, you're looking gorgeous, but you're in like grimy, sketchy like areas. So it's like for you it was like you were in your bathroom and all of that. And like for them it was like they were in a parking garage and then they were like on the side of the road and like stuff like that. And like why are all the photos of Jen just like it doesn't even look like she's in that gross of a setting. Like she just like looks pretty. Like it just looks like a regular photo shoot. And I was like, I don't like I don't even know how I did that. I was like and I don't even know. She just like even when she's not smiling, because I was trying to be like, oh, look like pissed off, look like you don't want to be here, like be rolling her eyes. She just still looks like a Disney princess. And I was like, oh, what am I gonna do with it? Like so, not exactly sure. I might take one of her images and I want to try and bring it over to one of my friends' iPad because there's a thing that a lot of artists use called like Procreate and they can like draw directly on their iPad. And I want to borrow that and then draw like all over a portrait of somebody and make it look like a plastic surgeon when they have like a photo of someone and they write like all over their face and like circle different stuff to be like, oh, change this and all that. And I might do that of Jen. I think I'll get her like permission at least to say like specific stuff. Um because I might say something like, oh, like get the eyelid surgery or something. And I want to be like, hey, this is not my thing. Like, this is a commentary on how like Hollywood or like the world thinks that women like constantly need to change. Um, but yeah, I think their little outfits were so cute, and yeah, I just love the idea of like the um, hyper feminine, like very dressed up look in like grimy areas. It was also kind of annoying though because it was like I didn't want to have to make them like sit in all these like grimy areas, but I also was like, but for art though. Um, So yeah, like Jen was wearing like your big pink coat, and I was just like, well, like I kind of had the idea that I was like, it would look so cool if I had like a cigarette because like those are gross. But then I was like, I'm not. No, like I was like, that's gonna get stuck in that fluffy jacket for so long. So yeah, no. I'm also just so excited for this whole project to be done so I can post about it because I think when the photos are like online, people will be able to like sit with them for so much longer. And I can just see like you and Ava and Mom and Madison all having like really good reactions. Yeah, I'm just so proud of this photo shoot. I think this is going to be like my favorite one from this entire year. And yeah, now I need to go into digital imaging and really like focus on that photo shoot, but we'll see. But yeah, I think that's all I have time to talk about today. Um I'm hoping to just like do little segments like this. I'm not going to record like extremely long podcasts or anything like 2 hours because as much as I like to talk, I don't think that I can like just talk on like a specific subject, or like I don't even know if I can like really talk for that long. You never realize how like how hard it is to just have like a constant like train of thought and like not pause that much at all, which now I'm doing. But anyway, I still don't really know how to sign these off. So have a good day, whatever you're doing at this time. I love you. Make sure to hit that like button and comment any thoughts you have on this video. I love the idea of you commenting instead of just texting me about it. I think it's very funny. All right, bye.